You watch someone command a room with just a few words. Everyone leans in when they speak, listens, remembers what they said long after the conversation ends. Meanwhile, you talk, you speak your truth, and yet people's eyes glaze over, their minds already elsewhere. It burns, doesn't it? The feeling that your words are just disappearing into the void. You've said everything you can think of, trying to impress, trying to connect, but it's as if the more you talk, the less they hear. Why does this happen? Why does it feel like others have this magnetic force while you're left speaking into the silence? Here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. It's about the weight of your presence, the stillness that lies behind your words. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." It's not enough to speak. You must embody the truth you wish to communicate. Words without presence are just noise, and your attention, your restraint, holds far more power than your performance. If you're tired of speaking to empty ears, tired of being overlooked, it's time to stop adding to your words and start subtracting the distractions. If you're ready to discover the power of saying less, of speaking with true presence and purpose, then please subscribe. It's about committing to a journey of self-mastery, growth, and meaningful connection. Let's dive deeper. 1. Invite them to share. You've probably been in a conversation where someone mentions something intriguing, and instead of letting them expand, you jump in with your own story or advice. Maybe you've even caught yourself doing it, thinking, "I've got something just as interesting to share." It's almost instinctual, right? We all have that urge to contribute, to make the conversation revolve around us. But here's the catch. Every time we do that, we're unintentionally shutting the other person down. We take their moment to share and turn it into a moment for us. But what if there was another way? What if, instead of jumping in with your own thoughts, you simply said, "Tell me more about that"? Think about the power in those 6 words. It's not just about asking to hear more, it's an invitation. An invitation for the other person to open up fully and feel like their story matters. These words let them know that you are genuinely interested in their experience, their perspective. You're giving them space to speak, not because you want to respond with a clever comeback, but because you truly want to know more about what they're saying. This shift from talking to truly listening can change everything. It can turn a casual conversation into something meaningful. When someone speaks, they're often sharing a part of themselves, a moment of vulnerability or excitement, and by simply asking, "Tell me more about that," you're honoring that vulnerability. You're inviting them to dive deeper into their story, to explore it with you. It's an act of humility, of presence. It's a choice to step aside and make the other person feel heard. By letting others share freely, we give them the privilege of becoming who they truly are in our presence. In doing so, we allow the conversation to shift from superficial exchanges to deeper, more authentic connections. And that, in turn, makes us more connected, more present, more attuned to the world around us. It's not about making the conversation about you. It's about creating a space where the other person feels comfortable enough to let it be about them. But let's dig deeper. Why does this simple question work so well? Why does it have such a powerful impact on those around us? When you ask, "Tell me more about that," you're not just filling a silence. You're not just trying to seem interested. You're showing that you care. You're demonstrating a level of respect for what the other person is saying. In a world where most conversations are fast-paced and self-centered, slowing down and giving someone the chance to speak without interruption is a rare and valuable gift. And it's a gift that people remember. When you're present in a conversation, really listening to the other person, you make them feel valued. You allow them to feel seen and understood in a way that many people rarely experience. How often do we, as a society, skip over each other's stories in favor of sharing our own? How often do we perform interest rather than actually engage with someone else's truth? But when you're truly present, you stop performing. You stop thinking about how to impress or how to redirect the conversation back to yourself. Instead, you focus on the person in front of you, and that focus creates connection. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In essence, he was emphasizing the importance of listening over talking. We are so quick to give advice, to jump in and offer solutions, that we forget the simple power of just listening. When we truly listen, we learn more than we ever would by talking. And the more we listen, the more we understand about the people around us, and the stronger our connections become. Now, let's talk about the magic of silence. Silence is often feared in conversations. People feel uncomfortable when there's a pause. They rush to fill the space with more words, more stories, more anything to avoid the discomfort of silence. But silence has its own weight, its own power. It creates a moment for reflection, for deeper thought. And when you say, "Tell me more about that," and then wait, you allow the other person to take that moment. You show them that you're not just interested in the surface level, but in whatever they want to reveal. That's powerful. And it's not just about the words you say, but the way you create the space to hear. Think about a conversation where the other person listens intently, allowing you to share without interruption. How does that feel? It feels like you matter. It feels like your thoughts have weight. That's because true listening gives power to the words being spoken. And when you give someone that space, they will return the favor. They'll want to listen to you, not just because it's polite, but because they genuinely want to understand you. Here's where it gets interesting. When you let others speak, when you listen fully and without judgment, you become the kind of person people are drawn to. They'll seek you out, not because you're the loudest or the most charming, but because you've made them feel heard. You've created a connection that goes beyond mere conversation. This kind of presence is magnetic. It pulls people in because, in a world where everyone is trying to be noticed, the person who truly listens stands out. So, here's the challenge. Next time you're in a conversation, stop performing. Stop thinking about how you can share your story or impress the other person. Instead, let them speak. Ask them to tell you more, and listen. Listen like you've never listened before. Create space for them to share their truths, their stories, their thoughts. And in that space, you'll discover a deeper connection, a more meaningful exchange, and the kind of attraction that doesn't come from trying, but from simply being. In the end, attraction isn't about what you add, it's about what you remove. When you remove the need to perform, the need to dominate the conversation, and the need to impress, what's left is a powerful, magnetic presence that invites others in, and that's the kind of connection that lasts. 2. Power in I don't know. Let's be real for a moment. No one has all the answers. Sure, some people might act like they do, but deep down, we all know that's not true. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone confidently spouts off something they clearly don't know much about? It doesn't feel right, does it? You can almost feel the inauthenticity hanging in the air. It's like they're more focused on looking smart than actually being truthful. It's frustrating, and it can make the conversation feel forced, even hollow. You start to wonder, are they even aware of how unconvincing they sound? But imagine for a second the power of saying just 3 simple words. I don't know. Now, these words may sound small, but they're anything but weak. In fact, they are one of the most powerful phrases you can use in a conversation. Think about it. When you say, I don't know, you're not apologizing. You're not trying to cover up your ignorance. Instead, you're offering something far more valuable: authenticity. By admitting that you don't have all the answers, you're showing strength, not weakness. You're saying to the other person, "I'm confident enough to be honest with you, even if that means admitting what I don't know." This simple admission opens up a space for real, meaningful conversation. It sets the tone for mutual respect. When you're not trying to act like you have it all figured out, you make room for a genuine exchange of ideas. You acknowledge the fact that you're learning just like everyone else. This creates trust, and trust is the foundation of any strong relationship, whether personal or professional. When people feel that they can trust you, they're more likely to engage with you honestly and openly. In a world where everyone seems to be competing to look like they have all the answers, saying, "I don't know," becomes a rare act of courage. It's not easy to admit when you don't have the answer, especially when it feels like there's so much pressure to appear knowledgeable. But it's precisely this honesty that builds real connections. When you show vulnerability by saying, "I don't know," you're making yourself more relatable. You're showing that you're human, just like the other person. And that's something people truly respect. Admitting that you don't know something doesn't mean you're not authentic. It means you're being true to yourself. It means you're willing to step out of the performance and engage in a way that's grounded in reality. The more comfortable you get with acknowledging your limits, the more authentic your interactions become. And authenticity, especially in a world that often feels like it's built on facades, is magnetic. But why is it that so many of us struggle to say, "I don't know"? Why is it that we'd rather fake it than admit that we're not sure? The truth is, we're afraid of looking weak, unqualified, or uninformed. In a society that places such a high value on expertise and certainty, there's this underlying fear that if we don't have the answer, we're somehow less. But here's the kicker: being able to admit that you don't know something actually increases your credibility. Think about it. The more someone pretends to know everything, the more suspicious we become. We start to question whether they're really as knowledgeable as they seem. But when someone admits their limits, they show that they're honest and secure in themselves. And that's a trait that attracts respect. It's not easy, of course. In fact, it takes courage to say, "I don't know," when you're used to always having something to say. But here's the paradox. When you stop pretending to know everything, you give yourself the opportunity to actually learn. It's like a weight lifting off your shoulders. You no longer have to hold yourself up with false certainty. You can lean into curiosity instead, and that's where the real magic happens. It's in the space of uncertainty that creativity and growth thrive. When you stop pretending to have all the answers, you open the door to new ideas. You become more receptive to the perspectives and knowledge that others can bring to the table. Saying, "I don't know," is an invitation to collaborate, to explore, and to learn from those around you. It shifts the focus from being about your personal expertise to being about the shared journey of discovery. This kind of openness doesn't just benefit you, it benefits everyone you engage with. It creates an environment where learning is valued over posturing and connection is prioritized over competition. Think about the people you admire. Are they the ones who always have the perfect answer, or are they the ones who are comfortable with ambiguity? The people you respect are often the ones who aren't afraid to say, "I don't know." And when they do speak, their words are more meaningful because we know they're coming from a place of genuine insight, not a place of trying to sound impressive. In a way, saying, "I don't know," actually elevates your voice. It shows that you are open to being shaped by the conversation, not just dominating it with your own assumptions. There's another aspect to this that we often overlook. Saying, "I don't know," creates room for others to contribute. How often have you been in a conversation where someone's dominating the discussion and you feel like you can't even get a word in? It's exhausting, right? When you allow space by admitting that you don't have all the answers, you're inviting others to share their thoughts. This isn't about giving up your position. It's about creating a more balanced, reciprocal conversation where everyone's voice is heard. When you learn to say, "I don't know," you also begin to develop a deeper sense of humility. You start to realize that there's so much more to discover and so many more perspectives to consider. You're no longer trapped by the need to be right. You free yourself from the anxiety of having to have all the answers. And this sense of freedom is incredibly empowering. You stop measuring your worth based on how much you know and start measuring it by how much you're willing to learn. So, the next time you're faced with a question you don't have an immediate answer for, resist the urge to fake it. Instead, let those 3 words roll off your tongue. I don't know. Don't let it be an apology or an excuse. Let it be a declaration of your authenticity. Let it be a signal that you're more interested in truth than in appearances. And watch how your conversations change. Watch how the people around you begin to trust you more, listen more intently, and value your words with greater respect. At the end of the day, the beauty of saying "I don't know" is that it opens the door to all that you can know. It's the starting point for deeper understanding, for richer conversations, and for a more honest and meaningful way of connecting with the world around you. 3. Validate the struggle. You've probably been there. Someone shares their struggles with you, and almost immediately your brain starts racing, thinking of ways to solve the problem. Have you tried this? Maybe you should do that? We all do it. It's natural to want to fix things, especially when someone you care about is going through a tough time. But here's the catch. Sometimes people don't want solutions. They don't need your advice or quick fixes. What they need is for you to simply acknowledge their pain. When someone tells you about a difficult experience, the immediate instinct is to try to make it better, to fix it. But more often than not, all they really want is to be heard. When we rush in with solutions, we can inadvertently diminish the weight of their struggle. We're essentially telling them that their pain isn't that big of a deal and can be easily solved. It might come from a place of care, but it's not what they need in that moment. Instead, they need validation. By saying, "That sounds difficult," you're doing something powerful. You're pausing, you're listening, and you're showing empathy without trying to immediately jump into a solution. You're not minimizing their experience. You're acknowledging it. And in doing so, you give them the space to feel understood. There's something incredibly powerful about being seen and heard, especially when you're dealing with a tough situation. We've all experienced it, the moment when we're struggling, and instead of rushing to offer solutions, someone simply says, "I can't imagine how tough that must be." It's not the advice that sticks with us. It's the feeling of being seen, that someone took a moment to truly understand without rushing to fix it. It's validating, it's comforting, and it makes us feel less alone. This simple act of acknowledging someone's difficulty is often more helpful than any advice we can give. When you say, "That sounds difficult," you give the person the space to process their emotions. You let them express themselves fully without feeling like they have to put on a brave face or justify their feelings. It's a powerful way to build trust, because when people feel heard, they feel respected. They open up more, and they come to trust you more because they know that you're not just waiting for your turn to talk, you're genuinely present. In fact, validation like this can be life-changing. Sometimes, just knowing that someone truly gets it, that they understand the weight of what you're going through, can help lighten the emotional load. You don't always need to solve the problem. What you need to do is create an environment where they feel safe enough to share, to be vulnerable. That's where real connection happens. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." It's a powerful reminder that much of our suffering comes from how we perceive and internalize our struggles. When someone listens to our pain without trying to fix it, they give us the space to understand it on our terms. They help us process it, not by solving it for us, but by simply being there. In this way, our emotional burden becomes lighter, and we gain a clearer perspective on our own experience. Think about it. How do you feel when you're going through something difficult and someone immediately tries to tell you what you should do? Maybe it's well-meaning, but it can feel dismissive. It's almost like they're telling you that your emotions aren't valid, that there's an easy fix and you're just missing it. But when someone simply acknowledges your struggle, it's like they're saying, "I see you, I hear you. You don't have to be perfect or have all the answers right now." This simple act of empathy builds deeper bonds between people. When you acknowledge someone's difficulties, you're demonstrating respect for their humanity. You're saying, "I see your pain, and I don't need to fix it. I just need to be here with you in this moment." That's not something that can be faked. People feel it when you're genuinely present in their struggle. They feel it when you're not just waiting to give advice, but are fully invested in understanding their experience. And here's the thing, this kind of empathy doesn't just benefit the person you're listening to, it also makes you a better, more connected person. When you can sit with someone in their discomfort and resist the urge to fix it, you're cultivating patience and understanding. You're learning how to hold space for others, and in doing so, you deepen your emotional intelligence. This isn't just about helping others, it's about becoming a more compassionate and self-aware individual. When you acknowledge someone's pain by saying, "That sounds difficult," you're allowing them to be real with you. You're allowing them to express their emotions without fear of judgment or criticism, and that's something rare in today's world. We live in a society that often pressures us to move on quickly from difficulties, to fix things immediately. But in reality, it's in the discomfort, the struggle, and the vulnerability where true connection and growth happen. This kind of presence doesn't just make people feel heard, it makes them feel safe. When you give someone the space to feel their emotions, you're creating a safe haven. You're showing them that they don't have to hide their pain or pretend that everything is okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to not have it all figured out. And when you create this safe space for others, they'll want to come back to you when they need someone to listen. But here's the real beauty of it. When you validate others in this way, you also end up validating your own emotions. You begin to see the power of simply being present, of acknowledging feelings without rushing to fix them. And that's something we can all benefit from, learning to be with our own pain as well as the pain of others, without immediately trying to solve it. It's about accepting the messiness of life and understanding that it's okay to not have all the answers. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is sit with someone, acknowledge their difficulty, and let them know that they're not alone in it. This kind of connection, built on mutual respect and empathy, leads to deeper, more meaningful relationships. It's not about giving advice or making everything better. It's about being present. It's about saying, "I see your struggle and I'm here with you, no matter what." And when you do that, you not only help the other person, but you also create a stronger, more compassionate connection with them. So next time someone shares a difficult experience with you, resist the urge to jump in with solutions. Instead say, "That sounds difficult." Let them know you see their struggle and that you're not rushing to fix it. Just listen. Create that space for vulnerability and watch how much deeper your connections become, how much stronger your relationships grow, and how much more respect you earn simply by being present. 4. Let the pause work. Silence. It's one of those things that often gets a bad rap. We're taught to fear it, to fill it, to make it go away. Silence is awkward. It's uncomfortable. When there's a pause in a conversation, most of us panic, scrambling for the next thing to say. We rush to fill the void because we don't want it to feel empty. And yet, what if I told you that silence could be one of your most powerful tools in communication? Think about it. In a world where everyone's talking, where every space is filled with noise, being comfortable with silence is an act of strength. It makes people notice you. When everyone else is rushing to speak, when words are flying left and right, the person who can sit in silence without rushing to fill the gap becomes magnetic. Silence in its own quiet way draws people in. It signals that you're not just reacting or filling time, you're present, you're thinking, you're engaging with the moment. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone said something profound, and instead of jumping in with your own thoughts, you just sat with it? Maybe you allowed the weight of their words to sink in. You paused. You let the meaning of what they just said settle before you responded. That moment of silence, however brief, had more impact than any words could have. That's the power of silence. It doesn't just leave space, it gives space. It gives your words meaning. It tells the other person, I'm not rushing to fill this space. I'm listening. I'm absorbing what you're saying. Carl Jung once said, the quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. Silence isn't just a pause, it's an opportunity for deeper listening. It's a chance to hear not just the words, but the meaning behind them, the emotions, the intentions. When we fill every gap with words, we miss out on this deeper layer of communication. But when we embrace silence, we allow ourselves to hear and understand more fully. Think about how rare it is to find someone who isn't rushing to speak in a conversation. We live in a world where everyone wants to be heard, where everyone has something to say. But how often do we really listen? How often do we give the conversation room to breathe, to evolve? The truth is, the most impactful moments in conversations often happen not because someone says something remarkable, but because they allow the conversation to unfold naturally without forcing it. The silence that follows a meaningful statement isn't empty, it's full. It's a space where the listener can truly take in the meaning of the words and reflect on them. It's easy to feel the need to speak, to fill the silence with our own thoughts, our own opinions. But sometimes, the best thing you can do in a conversation is nothing. Just sit in the silence. Let the other person speak without interruption. Let the weight of their words land and give them the space to express themselves fully. When you do this, you're not just being a passive participant. You're actively engaging in the conversation, but in a way that allows it to flow naturally. But here's the thing. Silence doesn't just benefit the other person. It benefits you too. When you resist the urge to fill every pause, when you allow yourself to sit in the quiet, you become more attuned to the rhythm of the conversation. You stop worrying about what you're going to say next and start focusing on what's being said. This shift allows you to be more present, more mindful, and ultimately more connected to the person you're talking to. When you stop speaking for the sake of speaking, your words carry more weight when you finally do choose to speak. Imagine the difference between two types of people in a conversation. One person is constantly talking, filling every moment with their thoughts, their opinions, their ideas. The other person listens intently, giving space for pauses, for silence. Which one would you feel more connected to? Which one would you respect more? The truth is, the person who can sit in silence and let the conversation unfold naturally has a deeper presence. They don't need to dominate the conversation because they know the value of listening and waiting for the right moment to speak. It's important to remember that silence doesn't mean disengagement. It doesn't mean you're not interested. In fact, it's the opposite. By sitting in silence, you show the other person that you value their words enough to let them breathe. You're not just waiting for your turn to speak. You're present in the conversation, and this presence makes all the difference. People are drawn to those who can create space in a conversation, who can allow the silence to speak just as much as the words. So, how do you become comfortable with silence? How do you stop the impulse to fill every gap with more words? It starts with being present. When you're truly engaged in the moment, when you're not thinking about your next line or how you're coming across, you can sit in the silence without discomfort. It's about embracing the awkwardness, knowing that it's a natural part of communication. When you stop fearing silence, you start embracing the deeper connection that it can bring. And let's not forget about the effect silence has on the other person. When you allow someone else to speak without interruption, without rushing to share your own thoughts, you're making them feel valued. You're showing them that their words matter. You're giving them the space to express themselves fully, without judgment or comparison. That's rare in today's world, where everyone is trying to be heard. So, when you create that space, you're not just making them feel good, you're building a deeper connection. You're inviting them into a conversation where both of you can be fully present and engaged. Silence is the gateway to better listening. It's where real understanding happens. When we stop talking to fill space and start listening in the pauses, we start to hear the things that matter, the unspoken words, the emotions behind the sentences, the feelings that lie just beneath the surface. It's in these moments of silence that we form the deepest connections. Now, I know it can be uncomfortable. Silence often feels like a vacuum that needs to be filled, but it doesn't have to be. In fact, embracing silence can be one of the most powerful ways to communicate. It's the pause that lets everything sink in. It's the stillness that gives your words meaning and weight. And when you embrace that power, when you stop rushing to fill the silence, you'll find that your conversations will become richer, more meaningful, and more connected. So, the next time you're in a conversation and a moment of silence appears, don't panic. Don't rush to fill it with words. Sit in it. Let the other person's words hang in the air for a moment. Let the conversation breathe. And in that silence, you'll find that the conversation becomes deeper, more authentic, and more impactful. It's in the quiet moments that the most powerful exchanges happen. So, don't be afraid of silence. Embrace it, and watch your communication grow stronger and more meaningful. 5. Lead with appreciation. We're quick to thank people when they do something for us, right? Whether it's holding the door open, helping us move, or covering a shift, we're quick to say, "Thanks for your help." It's a polite, courteous way to acknowledge someone's action, but here's the thing, it's transactional. "Thanks for helping me" acknowledges the task, the service, but it doesn't necessarily acknowledge the person behind the action. It doesn't speak to their character, their essence, their value as an individual. And that's where the real connection lies. What if instead of just saying "thank you," you said, "I appreciate you"? Think about the difference. "I appreciate you" isn't just recognizing what someone has done for you. It's recognizing who they are. It's a recognition of their effort, their consistency, their heart. It's telling them, "I see you, and I see beyond what you've done. I see who you are as a person." This simple shift in language can change everything. When you tell someone you appreciate them, you're giving them something that's rare in today's world, a recognition of their true self, beyond just the tasks they complete for you. It's not about what they can do for you, it's about who they are at their core. This small act of recognition is magnetic. People crave to be seen beyond their actions. In a world that often values people for their productivity, their output, or what they can give, we forget the deeper value of simply being. When you recognize someone for who they are, not just what they do for you, it resonates deeply. You make them feel like they matter, not for what they can provide, but for who they are as a person. And that kind of recognition sticks. When you say, "I appreciate you," you're offering a deeper, more genuine form of respect. It's not just about expressing gratitude for a favor. It's about recognizing someone's presence and their unique contribution to the world around them. When you truly appreciate someone, you're recognizing that very essence of who they are. You're acknowledging their humanity, their presence, their consistency. You're letting them know that they're more than just a set of actions. They're a person with depth and value, and in doing so, you make them feel like they truly matter. We don't hear enough of this in today's world. How often do we hear people being acknowledged for their intrinsic worth, their character, rather than just the things they do? We're quick to thank someone for a service, a favor, or a task, but how often do we slow down to genuinely recognize the person behind it all? "I appreciate you" shifts the focus. It pulls people out of the transactional and into the relational. It tells them that their worth is not tied to what they do for you, but to the kind of person they are. And that shift can be incredibly powerful. It's easy to say thank you for a service rendered. It's polite, it's courteous, and it's expected. But "I appreciate you" goes deeper. It acknowledges the person's essence, their being. It's a statement of acknowledgement that goes beyond the immediate action and recognizes their consistency, their kindness, their unique value. When you offer that recognition, you're giving someone the gift of feeling seen, something we all long for but rarely receive. Think about the people who have left a lasting impact on your life. Are they the ones who were always quick to offer help and solutions, or are they the ones who took the time to see you as a person? The ones who appreciated you, not just for what you could do for them, but for who you were. Those are the people who stay in our memories long after the moment has passed. When someone takes the time to genuinely appreciate you for who you are, it's not something you forget. It makes you feel valued in a way that goes far beyond surface-level gestures. Now, imagine applying that to your own life. What would happen if, instead of just thanking people for the things they do for you, you told them, "I appreciate you"? It would shift the entire dynamic. You wouldn't just be acknowledging their actions, you'd be acknowledging their spirit, their consistency, the small things they do that might go unnoticed. And when you give someone that recognition, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel valued. This isn't just about making someone feel good. It's about building a deeper connection. It's about creating relationships that aren't based on what people can do for each other, but on who they are. In a world where so many interactions are transactional, where the value of people is often measured by their utility, this kind of acknowledgement creates a rare, meaningful bond. It's a reminder that we are all more than just the roles we play. We are individuals with depth, with struggles, with stories. And when you say, "I appreciate you," you're telling someone, "You matter." Seneca once wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This resonates when we consider the value of self-awareness and authenticity in our interactions with others. When we say, "I appreciate you," we're not just paying lip service, we're practicing authenticity. We're being present, aware, and intentional in recognizing the intrinsic value of those around us. It's an act of mindfulness, choosing to see the people in our lives, not just for the tasks they perform, but for the human beings they are. We live in a world where it's easy to take people for granted. We're busy, we're caught up in our own lives, and we forget to pause and recognize the people who make a difference in our day-to-day existence. But when we start offering more genuine appreciation, we change the way we relate to others. We begin to cultivate a deeper sense of respect, empathy, and connection. And that changes everything. So, the next time you're about to say thank you, stop for a moment and consider, can you go deeper? Can you offer something more meaningful, something that truly acknowledges the person in front of you? Instead of just saying, thanks for helping me, try saying, I appreciate you. Let it sink in. Let it be a moment of recognition, of seeing the person beyond their actions. And watch how that simple shift transforms your relationships, one meaningful acknowledgement at a time. Because when people feel appreciated for who they are, not just what they do, they'll never forget it, and neither will you. 6. Say no, clear, calm, and kind. Saying no is one of the hardest things we have to do, and yet it's also one of the most important. Think about it. We're conditioned from a young age to say yes to everything. Yes to favors, yes to requests, yes to things that drain our time and energy. We're constantly pulled in different directions, and most of the time, we just go along with it. But what happens when we don't have the strength to say no? We end up teaching the people around us that our time and energy have no value. It's easy to feel guilty about saying no. We worry that we'll disappoint people or that they'll think we're selfish. But here's the truth. Saying no isn't rude. It's an act of self-respect. When you say no, you're sending a powerful message that you have boundaries. You're telling others that you value your time, your energy, and your attention. You're not just giving them away for free, expecting nothing in return. And the more you say no, the more others will respect you for it. Think about it. When was the last time someone asked for your time and you didn't want to help, but you did anyway, just to avoid the awkwardness of saying no? Maybe you agreed to help with a project, even though you had your own priorities. Maybe you said yes to going somewhere when you'd rather have stayed in. What did that leave you with? Stress? Resentment? Frustration? You weren't respecting your own boundaries, and you certainly weren't respecting your own needs. In that moment, your time and energy became a currency that you gave away without thinking. And because of that, people started to take your availability for granted. But when you start saying no, something shifts. Suddenly your time becomes more valuable. Your yes has more weight because you're not handing it out to just anyone. You're not saying yes to every request that comes your way. You've shown people that you won't just do things because it's convenient for them. You'll only say yes when it truly matters to you. And when you start doing this, you'll notice that people begin to respect you more. They'll stop assuming that you're always available. They'll understand that your time is limited and precious, and they'll be less likely to take advantage of it. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And part of becoming who you truly are is recognizing your worth, your time, and your energy." When you say no, you're practicing self-awareness. You're acknowledging that you can't do everything for everyone. You're making space for what matters most to you, whether that's taking care of your own needs, pursuing your passions, or spending time with the people who truly matter. Saying no also strengthens your relationship with yourself. We often think that saying yes to everything is a way of being generous, of being accommodating. But in reality, it can lead to burnout and resentment. You end up neglecting your own needs and desires just to keep others happy. When you say no, you're giving yourself the time and space you need to recharge, to focus on your priorities, and to invest in your own growth. That's not selfish. It's essential for your well-being. And here's the thing. When you set boundaries and say no, you're not just protecting your time. You're teaching others how to treat you. When you say yes all the time, people start to expect it. They start to assume that you'll always be there to help, to listen, to accommodate. But when you say no, you set a standard. You teach them that your time is valuable, and they begin to respect that. They learn that just because they ask for something doesn't mean you're automatically going to say yes. And over time, this leads to healthier, more balanced relationships where mutual respect is the foundation. Many people struggle with saying no because they fear rejection or conflict. They don't want to disappoint others, or they worry about being seen as difficult or unkind. But the truth is, saying no isn't about rejecting someone. It's about protecting yourself. It's about drawing a line to ensure that your needs are met too. It's about finding balance in your life and ensuring that you're not overextending yourself for the sake of others. You can still be kind and considerate while setting boundaries. It's also important to remember that saying no doesn't mean you're shutting people out. It doesn't mean you're being dismissive or uncaring. In fact, it can actually make your relationship stronger. When you say no to something that doesn't align with your values or your goals, you're saying yes to something that does. You're saying yes to your own well-being, to your own priorities, to the things that bring you fulfillment. And when you make space for those things, you show up as a better version of yourself in every area of your life. Saying no is an act of listening to your own needs, to your inner voice, to your boundaries. It's about honoring your own limits and understanding that you can't be everything to everyone. You have to listen to yourself just as much as you listen to others. And when you do that, you'll find that your yes becomes more meaningful, more intentional, and more valuable. The next time you're faced with a request, take a moment to ask yourself, do I really want to say yes to this? Does it align with my values? Is it something that adds value to my life, or does it drain my energy? And if the answer is no, don't be afraid to say it. You're not obligated to say yes just because someone asks. You have the power to protect your time and energy, to say no when it's necessary, and to create space for the things that truly matter. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. You might feel guilty or worry about disappointing others. But with practice, saying no becomes easier, and the benefits become clearer. You'll find that you have more time for the things that truly matter, more energy for the things you love, and more respect from the people around you. When you say no, you're not just setting boundaries, you're setting yourself free. So, let's stop being afraid to say no. Let's stop overcommitting and underliving. Let's start valuing our time, our energy, and our well-being. And in doing so, we'll create lives that are more intentional, more fulfilling, and ultimately more connected to what truly matters. Remember, your time is precious. Every no you say is a step toward protecting your energy and focusing on what truly matters. By setting boundaries, you're not just preserving your well-being, you're creating space for growth, for clarity, and for the things that align with your true purpose. Thank you for being part of the Stoic Journal community. If this video resonated with you, be sure to check out one of the suggested videos on the screen now. Keep growing, keep setting boundaries, and keep living intentionally. I'll see you in the next one.